Hello, Mr. Matthew Donald. Thank you for agreeing to talk to me.
Of course, young edgelord Stuart. Happy to assist. Although, I must say, I am quite frankly flabbergasted you wanted to talk to me in the first place. What in the world did you possibly want to talk to me about? This isn't about wanting a copy of my magnum opus, is it?
No, it's not about that.
I've given up on that masterpiece ever seeing the light of day. The world doesn't deserve it anyway. Only enlightened folks like me.
Yes, enlightened folks like, you. Okay, so what is this about?
It's something a bit more embarrassing. Something I'm afraid to talk to my mother about.
Well, you are 14 years old. Your body's going through a lot of changes.
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. I was just wondering. I tried so hard to get a good book deal for my own masterpieces, and yet no publisher is interested in me.
You're not getting a book deal, really?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I have no idea why they're not interested.
Sometimes it's not about what you're doing, it's about them, too. If it doesn't feel right to them, it's not going to work out.
But everyone I know has book deals, and I don't. I don't understand. I'm 14 years old. Surely I should have had several book deals by now. I have all the right material.
It's not about the age, Stuart. It's about finding the right match. I myself didn't get my first book deal until I was in my late 20s.
Ugh, I don't want to wait that long. Why is no publisher interested in me?
Just find the publisher that ticks all your boxes and form a relationship with them first. Get to know them and see if you guys are looking for someone like each other first. Then, once you get the feel for it and the moment is right, you'll get that book deal, Stuart, and let me tell you, it will be amazing. You don't want to rush into a bad book deal that can ruin you if done improperly. Sometimes waiting leads to the best and most satisfying results.
Wow. This is all such incredible advice, Donald. Thank you so much. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to have dinner with my super hot and very real girlfriend. And then we'll have dessert right afterward. If you know what I mean.
What? You saying you've had sex already? How did you manage that? Teach me! Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwit, the show about Ritters where we eat chicken fritters.
Delicious. And we didn't even have to go to the Texas State Fair to get these ones.
Nope, there was a fritter truck right outside my apartment.
Well, and for what it's worth, I mean, chicken fingers aren't terribly different from fritters. I may be angering some people from the southern part of the United
No, they're
States.
exactly the same. Was it like that episode of Big Bang Theory where, like, Amy and Penny are talking about something, and talking about like Star Wars or something, and then Amy's like, oh, she's obsessed watching that stupid Star Trek thing again, and then Penny's like, oh no, it's Star Wars. They get really mad if you
mix them up.
And then Amy's like, what's the difference? And then Penny's like, there is absolutely no difference. Now, obviously, that's not true.
One of them has a much overbearing captain who does stupid logs all the time. One of them has an entire intergalactic war going on.
One of them is a war. One of them is a trek. Actually, no, sorry. One of them is wars. It's not Star War.
Well, it'd be really interesting if you switched it so it was Star War and Star Treks. Anyway, that has nothing to do with either of our topics. Before we get into the usual stuff,
yeah, they say the final space is the final frontier, and the first frontier of a writer is writing. So, what have we at the Ritwit have writ? Look, that wasn't bad.
What we at the Ritwit have writ, yes. Go ahead. You're first.
Oh, I am first. That's right.
That's why I was trying to do it.
Okay, so
my thunder.
I heard back from my cover artist for Tesla Knots. He's got some very, very cool cover concepts for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Curious if I can ask, will it be a character from the book, or like a scene, or a city, or what?
It's currently a character from the book, specifically the main character.
I mean, that was kind of the guess, but I wasn't sure.
And a scene in the book, possibly. I mean, it's more like something that could happen. I don't want to get into too many
No,
details.
don't, because if you do that, you spoil things.
It's basically something that could happen in the
Well,
book
when you say-
that makes a very striking image for a cover. And striking.
Well, okay. Are you doing separate image for front and back cover? Because I think you did that with your Megazoic book.
And also, I'm so impressed with this guy's art that I am going to probably have him redo the covers for Megazoic as well. So maybe actually include some dinosaurs on the covers.
Well, I mean, it's up to you. Obviously, it's an investment in your product, and you get the the limited edition type feel thing going on because you have different covers now with different releases.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so
covers change all the time.
yes, absolutely.
I like it when there's a movie adaptation of a book, and then they have the poster be the cover of the book. I also especially like it when the book is famously nothing like the movie.
Novelizations tend to have to change a lot of things, which, I mean, to be fair,
Well,
you're going from an inherently visual
sorry.
medium to one that's only in the theater of the mind.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, like, not novelizations. I meant, like, I'm sorry. I meant when the movie adapts the book but does it so wrong. But the original book still uses the movie poster. It'd be like if Percy Jackson... I'm sure when the Percy Jackson movies, well, the two that they made, came out, they probably had them, the posters for them on the cover, despite the actor in those movies, and I think the character as well, aged up pretty significantly. So, like, wait a minute, this 12-year-old looks 16.
Weird time. But anyway,
and the girl in those is Alexandria Daddario, and man, she's a celebrity crush of mine.
Oh, you're saying in the
Percy Jackson. Yeah, she's also in San Andreas. And
when you said the girl in the, I thought you were talking about the series, The Girl in the Dragon Tattoo or whatever, but probably not.
Never seen that or read that.
But I think it was made by some. I am going to get this wrong, and listeners are
some
going to crucify me.
Swiss,
Let
Norwegian,
us know, and we'll tell you how to get hold of
Swedish.
us. I was going to say there in that
In
Scandinavian area, so like Finland,
Dutch,
Sweden.
Slavic.
I don't know if the Netherlands are technically part of the
others are just Eastern European.
But anyway,
Yugoslavian.
I am not going to look it up because I am a stickler for knowing what I know going in and not breaking professionalism by looking things up. So I won't do that. But anyway,
Okay. Well, other than that, though,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on edits back from my parents so I can send it to my professional editor. They're taking so gosh dang long, though, that I'm seriously considering just sending it to the editor anyways. Hurry up, guys! Chop chop! I want this book out next year, preferably.
well, I mean, if we're recording this peek behind the curtain in December of 2021, yeah, you've got an entire year's worth of time to fit that benchmark. Unlike my case, where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get Nerds Are Us out in the year 2021, and I have less than a month to make that actual reality.
Okay, how many episodes do you have in the backlog of Nerds Are Us?
I have 3 fully edited. I wanted to get to 5 before I published.
All right, record 2.
No,
Get editing.
No, it's the editing piece. We have them recorded. I just need to
Get editing. Get your co-host. Get editing.
my co-manager. But anyway,
Your co-manager. Oh, would you consider us?
It is a store, after all.
Oh, I get. I was gonna say, like, I thought you were like, am I a manager? I mean, I am the manager.
You are the manager of the guy behind all of this.
Yeah.
And, for those of you who appreciate
Speaking of which, I need to
Matthew
pay you for the
Donald's
Patreon this month.
work, some of Matthew Donald's work, please check out the Patreon. There will be a link in the description.
Patreon.com/Matthew Donald. Anyways, what about you? What have you written?
So, I went into November with an insane goal.
Oh.
Rather than just the simple NaNoWriMo 50,000 word target, or even the compound double because I missed last year, I saw that I was closing in on a milestone over the lifetime of me participating in Nano.
And what milestone is that, I wonder?
I'm about to tell you. Good leading question.
I'm so excited.
It was...
Yay! It's annoying, isn't it?
It was
Yay! Okay, I promise.
900,000 words.
All right. Yay!
There, it's appropriate. And I saw just how much that would take.
Yes.
After some trepidation on my part, because it would ask me to go beyond any story for Nano that I've ever written in a single month.
Oh.
I justified it by saying, sure, I'll come really close regardless. What the heck? I might as well try, even if I fall short.
Because that's totally in character for you to get to 897,000 and be like, Good enough. I'm exhausted.
Well, more on that in a bit. So I had a pretty good pace for the first couple of days, despite an actual day job this go around.
Oh yes.
Direct contrast to last year when I didn't have a day job, but I didn't do it anyway. Go figure.
What were you doing with all that free time? Surely really productive stuff, right?
Productive stuff to me. I don't know if the world would view it that way.
So,
No,
for the
anyway.
world, reductive stuff.
Anyways, I mathed it out to realize that I could indeed hit the 900,000 words
Ooh.
lifetime at that pace.
Ooh.
So I kept working. And the story was engaging to me after planning it in small bits for so long.
Yes.
You know, in the past, I would generally write completely by the seat of my pants, but to get myself ahead of the game, I'd start thinking of things and little nuggets that I wanted to put in the story before I got there, like months ahead.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
But also not so much that I'm like, well, damn it, I just can't wait either. So, you know, after finally, you know, getting some of those things to link up and go together, it was so exciting to write it. And I managed to get past 100,000 with a week to spare.
Nice.
Which, I mean, that's the double. That's the double of
You
Nano
are
Gold.
an absolute madman when it comes to NaNoWriMo.
I mean, I did 100,000 in 16 days one year, so this wasn't as bad as that. But anyway, and just kept carving out time. Not only did I amaze myself and hit the near impossible goal, 900,000 lifetime words for Nano. Good grief.
That is quite significant. About half the length of the entire Harry Potter series.
But I also accomplished something that I never managed once.
Oh.
Updating literally daily and hitting the daily par, air quotes for that, every single date on the calendar in November.
Wait, you're saying that like those times when you finished it in like a week or whatever, or like 50,000, you didn't write every day?
What I'm saying is that when I finished the story, I would just say, okay, I'm done.
Oh, you're saying
And stop writing.
after you completed it.
And stop writing.
Gotcha.
But literally every single day, 1 through 30 of November, I actually updated and hit over the 1,667 words. The reason that is par is because if you wrote that daily, you would hit 50,000 at the stroke of the end on like midnight December 1st. You'd get 50,000 words,
nice.
basically. So that's their par. If you set your own other goals, you could still hit your own par, but
that makes more sense. I thought you were saying that like
No.
every day is like even before you finish, like, oh, I'm going to take a break today. Okay, today I'm writing 10,000 words.
I actually had one day this time where I had 11,000 words.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it really helped me finish.
You
But
absolute maniac.
Now, if I truly went through with my inner editor switch on, how many of those words would I keep? Less than half, easily.
Just imagine. You ever seen Ratatouille?
No, I have not, but
Okay.
I've heard a lot of the, big
Okay, so
scenes.
there's this scene where like he comes across this document in his office. Not he. Okay, so the owner of the restaurant that's not good. Like that takes it in Gusteau's absence because Gusteau is dead. And like there's this scene where like he's looking at this and the music just builds up and his eyes just widen as he like it's just really. And so finally he just bursts and gets his phone like get my lawyer or something. But I just imagine you know after you've written your actual work, you've crapped all the crap on the page. And
Not wrong.
yeah, so then you look over it, and your face is gonna be the same way, just like just
Call my lawyer.
You're just like you're squeezing the paper, just like what is this?
Well, I mean, Nano's goal is to turn off your own inner editor and give you the reason to keep writing something that otherwise you might not have.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
At least you can change it. I watched there was this whole thing about I think it was in How I Met Your Mother episode again. Wow, I'm just bringing up the
All the sitcoms in the world.
well,
let's
just
go.
the references, all the references, where he talks about like the problem with texts is that like once you send them, you can't unsend them.
Depends if the person saw them and
Yeah, it's like,
received them or not. But anyway,
It's like Ted Mosby got the number of this girl, and he's like feeling pretty good. He's like, I just thought I'd send you a little texty text. It's like, wait, texty? Oh no,
and he'd already pressed send.
And then it visualizes like texty text is flying out from his phone. And he just tries to grab it. It just goes away. And he's just like, no.
Nice.
Anyways, sorry.
All right. I'm really proud of myself for doing that. I actually did have that secondary goal this time around because I'd never done that before. Like, I'd always get to the threshold and say, like, okay, now on with the rest of my month, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's just like, I have a life to live.
Such a life. Anyway, the story isn't even half bad. That said, it is not ready for the light of day, and since I didn't even finish the draft, I'm probably about 7 chapters out by my reckoning. I was writing basically one a day most of the month. There were
one chapter?
So like I do a chapter, and that would be my day's worth of writing, and I tried making it work that way.
So
there
you
were
wrote 30
times,
chapters.
No, because there were a few times that I would be in the middle of something, and I'd put it down for the day anyway because I was about to hit midnight or do something else, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'll come back to it tomorrow. And so some chapters got long-winded, which, I mean, it's me. The whole story's long-winded, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, it is you, Mr. What was the vocabulary vibrant of the month? Oh, it wasn't this month, it was last month. Verbose.
Verbose, indeed. But anyway, it was one of those things that I tried to make. I tried to give myself a fresh start every single time I sat down to write, unless it was in the middle of something else, and then I'd have to like eke out. And those were the days I didn't get as many words down because like I didn't know where else to take it without introducing plot ninjas or an extra subplot that I didn't care about having. So
why are there plot pirates? I wonder.
It could be plot pirates. They could be searching for booty. Anyway,
are we all searching for booty?
but I do have designs on completing the draft and removing some of the extra like non-story stuff that I counted as writing, just because I was doing writing during the month of November anyway. Why not? I'm gonna remove that stuff out come the new year.
Yes.
My goal for December is to get Nerds R Us out on the airwaves. And
how's that going?
Well, I mean, I already talked about the fact that I have this month to make it a reality, so you'll find out, listeners.
Get them edited, and I will help you with the uploading.
Appreciate it, but we'll get there. I mean, I could probably upload the first episode. I don't need a backlog this big before I even upload one. But it's me being a stick in the mud.
I mean, also considering how, infrequently you and...
That is the other thing, because we usually record when we're together, and that doesn't happen. All right, but anyway, get it on the airwaves, which is going to be a similar dedication to making enough edits that I have some backlog prepared, because, frankly, publishing once a month with my schedule and my co-manager's schedule, the co-host...
Yeah, Mr. Redacted!
It's not easy to get recordings done in the first place, and
yes.
So I don't want to get too far over my skis with stuff, and then it's like, oh crap, well now we have to make something happen. Sorry, for those of you coming to our store, we aren't open today, kind of thing. It'd be stupid. But
of course, absolutely. And also, I mean, like, I get you guys can make it work, because, like, when we first started this podcast, we were thousands of miles apart. True. And also many, like 15, sometimes 16 time zones apart, depending on if it was daylight savings time.
I believe the more correct way to say it would be hours, not time zones. But regardless, there was a huge time gap.
That's true. The same amount of time zone. It's not like the Earth just suddenly got wider and then shorter.
They just added the time zone in the middle.
Have you seen some time zones, man? They're weird.
They are very weird.
It's not just a line.
Well, and this is the thing that bothers me about time zones is why are some of them on half hours rather than just straight up hours? I don't honestly get it. But none of that has anything to do with what we're talking about.
The thing is like...
time zones are in the real world.
Yes. Well, what I was going to say, though, so I can ruin your segue, just as you so ruined mine.
I usually do.
Yes. So, if it's going to be real, like, there should be the clocks should change based on the exact coordinates of where you are, because it's not like it's suddenly like 3 o'clock, and then you go past the time's going up, it's 2 o'clock, and then suddenly the sun just moves 1/12.
It just moves back.
No, it's like so like you're driving east, it's like, wow, it's been 12:21 for a long time.
That implies you're driving fast enough to get through. And
wait, sorry, driving west.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wait,
but still, you'd have to be driving pretty dang fast. Point being, though, that time zones, unfortunately, just depending on which edge of the time zone you're at, like sunsets when I was going to Hastings were really, really late because we were closer to the west part of the time zone there.
Right.
Well, sunsets here are really stupid early, not even talking about the winter time because we're on the eastern part of the time zone here.
Right. It's interesting all the different factions that come based on where in the time zone you. Okay, yeah, I ruined yours. You ruined mine.
I'll scratch
Call
my
it
back.
even.
I'll scratch yours. I was going to say that time zones are something about the real world. They don't have any deeper meaning to them. But we are talking about allegory. And speaking of which,
well, I was going to say no. You had to have the last one.
I usually try. No, but as well as real world events or characters, we're finally getting into the topic. This one
allegories.
One allegory that writers can use in their works is alluding to various factions or peoples in history.
Yes.
Not the 1 hour ago that the East Coast is comparatively. No, I'm kidding. Be it organizations, cultures,
faction.
or ethnicities.
Yes.
Obviously, this can be done incredibly poorly and in a racist manner if done incorrectly.
Yes.
So avoid stereotypes if you can.
Yes.
What are some ways you can allude to real factions, cultures, or ethnicities in their works? In your works, I think, is what you.
I wrote these notes
say.
while tripping balls, man. Where's the ways you can allude to real factions, cultures, or ethnicities in? Let's see. There's a me here and there's a me there. Is that you or is that there? I see so many of me. I'm having an out-of-body experience. And I'm sounding like Christopher Walken for some reason.
Oh gosh, his voice is a little different than that. But
I'm just a little like a Christopher Walken. I have all these pauses, that Christopher Walken has.
You're getting Ritwit After Dark again tonight. Sorry, listeners.
That's not a dirty joke.
It's not a dirty joke, but we get a little delirious when we record this late, it seems.
I like to say we. Thank you so much for trying to share the blame. Alright, but so it's okay, so while I was tripping balls, I said theirs instead of yours. So.
Right, so the ethnicities in your works without doing it poorly, without doing them injustice.
Okay, one, when writing it, don't drip balls.
That would help, yes.
Two, don't make the faction you create to be such an obvious allegory through stereotypes and other obvious things that could come across as problematic. It's like, man, have you, the mobile game Clash of Clans?
Oh, yes, okay.
Some people have noted pretty much, that's pretty explicit, basically, that this is a huge allegory about Nazism. Whether accidental or intentional, and that it's all about these Aryan-looking soldiers, as in big, beefy, blonde hair, blue eyes, fighting against goblins that have big noses and collect a lot of gold and taking them and enslaving them, and it's just like
a little on the big nose.
It's just like if this isn't intentional, then you done goof.
You done.
More like Clash of Ku Klux Klans, right?
Oh Lord, Ritwit, come for the advice and stay for the
social commentary.
Deep takes. All right, but anyway.
So yeah, basically don't.
No, please don't.
Yeah, there's a fine line between making the allegory obvious enough to be an allegory, not so obvious to come across as offensive, and not taking the faction or group seriously. Kind of like how a lot of people take umbrage with some of the Star Wars races, particularly like in the prequels, like in particularly more often not in Phantom Menace, where like one you have of course Jar Jar, who's a clear caricature of Caribbean sort of things, but then you also have the Trade Federation people who are very clearly some sort of Asian.
Yeah, I mean,
the way they talk, like the way they have the slanted eyes, kind of.
We mentioned in the episode about doing allegory in your character, like singular character.
I know this is just a faction,
right? But I'm saying that the whole identification procedure of an audience coming into something new, they've never read this before, and it becomes very easily identifiable. And the other thing is that we have complained about movies that have on-screen depictions, whereas a book, with the description you use, it might be a little easier avoided.
It's true, but also, like, I guess it depends on whether you're using it positively or negatively. Because
if you're just trying to caricature the thing, pastiche it, then you're probably not doing it in a positive light. If you are intending to represent it seriously and not come across as completely stereotypical and under-researched...
Again, another Phantom Menace one, Watto is very clearly like a Jewish sort of like... It's like, Annie! Your little tricks don't work on me!
Well, I mean... Now, you were saying,
but
just don't do it.
No, here's the thing. Here's an example to do it, where it can be obvious and done as an allegory in a way that is upfront, but in a positive manner. Now, in Avatar, the blue people Avatar, not the...
I understood what you were referencing.
Those aforementioned blue people, the Na'vi.
I was going to say, there is a name for them.
Oh, wait, Na'vi? Navy? Is that where they got the name? Like Navy Blue? I just thought of that!
TIL, folks.
Today I learned the Na'vi got their name from the color they are, Navy. Anyways, the Na'vi are...
Well, the sad part is, because I don't even play the Legend of Zelda games, but for people of a certain generation...
Oh, that's true. Hey, listen!
Hey, listen! Hey, listen to me! Hey, listen to me! Hey, what are you doing? Hey!
The worst part of that game was that owl that at the beginning where you're like he gave this long tutorial.
Majora's Mask?
No. This was Ocarina of Time.
Oh, it was Ocarina of Time.
There was this owl that like said this long thing that you couldn't skip.
Oh gosh.
And then once it was over, you were like, "Would you like to hear it again?" And it said yes or no.
No.
But the yes was the one default selected.
So if you had to, okay.
So if you just tried to skip through as quick as you can, he's
say
saying it again. Anyways, the Na'vi.
The Na'vi. All right, what you got?
They're very clearly based off of Native Americans.
They could be a shortage of native.
What?
Could be shortening native.
Yes.
I mean,
not
it's basic. Well, it's basically an anagram. So you take 4 letters
without the T and the E. But
you take 4 letters of native. You slash the T and E, and then you have Na'vi.
No, because you'd have.
It's not in order.
You'd have
but that's
naive.
what I'm saying. But that's
naive.
What I'm saying is it's an anagram.
No, I get it. Yes.
So you're arranging the letters.
Anyways, they're very clearly Native Americans. Particularly in the fact that they freaking ululate. And and there's a purpose for that. It's because they're the natives, while the colonizers.
I think it's more likely that it came from native rather than navy. But anyway,
I mean, look, it can be a double meaning.
It could absolutely.
It's probably honestly from neither of those, honestly.
Or it could be literally both, and we're hitting the nail on the head with an anvil.
Anyways, so they're the natives, and while us, Earth folks are the colonizers. So there's a reason why they're like Native Americans, and often when talking about sci-fi, we're talking about meeting alien races.
Those who don't learn from history.
Well, not only that, it's just I think also I think it was either Stephen Hawking. I think it was Stephen Hawking that said either whenever we meet an alien race, one of us is going to be Columbus, and the
other's going to be the natives.
And the other one's going to be the natives. That's inevitable. Now, which one are we going to be? So.
We have enough ego to think that we'll be Columbus.
It depends on which one is more technologically advanced, and that's
probably
so.
Anyway, you're just talking about it like it's the easiest thing in the world to, just don't use the stereotypes for such an obvious allegory. I'm not so
you can't.
sure how
my
easy
point
that
is. Well, my point here is that this is using an obvious stereotype for the allegory, but it's doing it well because it's doing it for a purpose. And it is a bit stereotypical, but it's not a negative thing. The Na'vi are portrayed very positively. Some might argue too positively, but
well, I mean, the main character basically worships them so much that he decides to forsake its human form, right?
Right. Well, exactly. And I know some people get onto it with that being the white savior trope. To which I say, I guess it's not really another race except they're blue, but it's the native comes. the white person comes in. Not only is he part of the native culture, he gets better at the native culture than the natives do.
I don't know. Well, I haven't seen all of Avatar.
You haven't seen the rest of Avatar. One of these days.
As for me, I think that to avoid doing this poorly, I think a lot of it is about deliberately changing something.
Yes.
Probably you want it to be more major than a simple cosmetic change for the sake of not being intentionally offensive to those people.
Cosmetic change. It's a good thing the Na'vi were blue and not, another color.
Well, yes, but even if you go so far as to say, oh yeah, they're going to be just like the people who we expect to have big noses, and they have small noses, and that's it.
It's like how in
that is a simple cosmetic change. You're not fooling anyone, dude.
It's kind of like, again, all the references in the Super Mario Brothers movie, they have the Goombas. You know, in the games, the Goombas have big heads.
True.
And little bitty bodies and legs.
Yes, which works way better to make them on a game screen.
In the movie, it's literally the exact opposite. They have giant bodies and teeny tiny heads. Like, it was clearly deliberate. Like,
well, and again, when you're getting into the realm of satire or parody.
Oh yeah, that movie was definitely satirical. We just didn't understand it, guys.
No, I'm not saying that the movie was intended to be satirical. What I'm saying is that when you get into satire and you do things intentionally a different way to make a point, whatever that was. Whether you're such a fan and you're just like, this sucked from the beginning, it's gone, or whatever. You know, you don't want to offend these people. That's the ultimate goal.
Yes.
So how you do that should probably be something major rather than something simply minor. Particularly if said change is off-the-wall novel compared to this faction, culture, whatever's real lot, it won't be nearly so obvious or unintentionally bad.
Yeah. No, exactly. But it's the thing, like, there's probably some boundaries, like...
Which leads into the next question. What are some boundaries that you should not cross when doing this?
Well, here's the thing about being offensive. Here's the boundary. Don't be offensive.
I mean, we are equal opportunity offenders.
That's true.
But
that's true. I mean, I am down to... I have called my occasional... If my friends of mine are doing something, particularly white people ask, like, I'm just like, oh, you cracker. Like...
Every good wine is a cracker.
You peckerwood.
Crikey.
Oh, man.
All right. No.
Anyways, sorry. I know it should be obvious, don't do anything offensive. But what constitutes as offensive? Negative stereotypes, problematic stereotypes, not doing all the research you should, and so on.
Yeah.
I remember an older version of Megazoic, the space opera version.
Oh, yes, okay.
Space opera fantasy version.
Dome on the Moon, wasn't it?
Oh, no, that was earlier than that. This is the fantasy version.
Oh, okay.
But more space opera-esque than that. Went to a different planets or whatever. I had this group of dinosaur-like aliens back when, it was that thing, and there was no reason for them to be dinosaurs. There was these dinosaur-like aliens that were definitely a mishmash of all sorts of Far East cultures. I mean, it was more Japanese than other things, but...
Yuzak.
Oh no, that was... the Yuj were a bit different. They were kind of... I'm talking about the Ahans.
Oh, okay. No, but that was the same. That was that version.
It was that version, yes.
Okay.
The Ahans, where it was like Ahakikoru.
Mm-hmm.
They had ninjas, they had kimonos, which to be fair are both Japanese. Are both Japanese.
Yes.
But man, there were some other things I either don't remember or I'm deliberately...
If you were actually doing it with Japanese pronunciation, it'd probably be odd job for the record.
Yeah, I think I said aha because I'm like, oh, that sounds foreign. Not realizing that's Spanish. So,
well, the J as an H sound is probably a Spanish thing, but anyway.
Jalapenos. I want some big jalapenos.
Jalapenos.
And some quesadillas.
Oh my gosh! It was really.
Oh amazing. Yes, bring on the tangents.
my turn for a tangent.
Yes.
I was working with this quartet, and apparently the gentleman before coming to rehearsal had a large Mexican style dinner.
Oh.
And so we're talking about, just various things, and it's like taco, tortilla, tostada. This is my Spanish vocabulary.
Yes.
As if that was the only thing you knew in Spanish.
That's famously the Spanish only talk about food.
The only types of food are those. Only, ever. Forget everything else. Anyway, my tangent is over. Right. So you were mismatching them together.
Yes, it wasn't very tasteful.
Did I say mismatching?
You're mix matching.
I missed matching. Mashing them together.
Yes, it wasn't very tasteful, but then again, I just thought it was cool, and I was being a bit naive.
Yeah,
I don't think I crossed that many boundaries. It's not like I had any.
Well, I mean, they weren't really humans, whether we acknowledge them as simply humans wearing dinosaur scales / feathers or not.
But I just think I could have handled it better.
Absolutely, but you were younger then.
Yeah, thankfully that's not the current version. And there are
readers will never understand this because they'll never have context.
What about you? Yeah.
People are going to take offense to whatever they want. So
I take offense to you saying that.
I rest my case, Your Honor, which is ironic because I was serving on jury duty earlier today.
Oh, yeah, how'd that go?
Anyway,
Tell me later.
So anyhow, doing any stereotype solely with the purpose of comedy marginalizes those affected people.
Absolutely.
If your purpose is to be satirical, don't expect them to like your treatment of them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not just caricaturize them for your needs.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
look
not fair to an entire group of people.
It's like, oh, look at this group of aliens or whatever. Look at their teeny tiny eyes.
Compensating for something else.
No, I'm just saying, like that's the yeah.
Even awful executives at some Fortune 500 company,
yes,
don't deserve the lampoon just because you were wronged by one.
No, not about that, but
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with making fun of them in general because obviously
that's true.
It's
executives in
relatable,
general, not necessarily like the executive of Walmart,
but you don't need to have it be an allegory that's going to go over everyone's head because it's referring specifically to a boss that fired you.
I mean, you can do that as long as it's just like you can base a character off of someone. That's not really an allegory. That's
as I said, but if the allegory that is there goes over your audience's head, it makes no sense anyway. So you shouldn't do that just because you were wronged by them. The golden rule is in effect even if you're purposely including some group as an allusion to some concept.
That makes sense.
And frankly, I don't like it when people just marginalize me, which doesn't happen very often.
I was going to say, what? You're such a mutt. Again, we've talked about on the show that the pastiche of the average man is basically you.
The pastiche of the average man. No, anyway.
But it's just like, so who could... I don't even know how I could offend you. Even if I wanted to.
Generally, I try not taking offense at things.
Oh, wait, no, I know how I would offend you.
But
what's the difference between a music major and a park bench?
Park bench can support a family of 4. All right. So... But see, I knew the joke, so it didn't really offend me. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
What is the ultimate reason for using allegory in this way, with an entire faction representing something rather than either just a character or some plot to reference what?
Relatability, familiarity, and making obvious what plights a group is going through and what they represent. It can also make it more obvious who the good guys and the bad guys are. The Empire from Star Wars are clearly Nazis, right?
As well as Shocker, or pretty much every villain organization and common writer of the Showa era.
I thought you meant Shocker like the Spider-Man film.
No. Okay, seriously, there's a show that has a villain whose name is Starfish Hitler. Yeah. That's not even allegory at that point.
So we have human Hitler.
That's not even allegory at that point.
We have human Hitler, and we have Starfish Hitler. There's a Rick and Morty episode where there was a snake Hitler. There's like this snake planet with like a bunch of different... They invented time travel, and there's a thing where like they see Snake Hitler. And once they invented time travel, there's a person that goes back to try and kill Snake Hitler. But then there's another time traveler that goes back to try to save Snake Hitler. And then it's just a bunch of people time traveling this one big thing, trying to either kill or save Snake Hitler. And meanwhile, Snake Hitler's just like, what the hell is going on?
And this is why the Fongoids destroyed the fabric of the universe.
Yes.
All right, anyway.
So, but everyone knows this, everyone sees this, therefore we know exactly who the bad guys are. The only thing they don't do is goose step.
Well, and I mean, but they've done a bit more with characterizing like certain leaders and whatnot in like recent time.
Yes.
Because obviously not every single person within an empire is going to be a bad person.
That's true.
And not every person within a rebellion is going to be spotless, morally upright either.
Well, speaking of that as well, and speaking of Star Wars, in Return of the Jedi, George Lucas has said that the Ewoks are meant to represent the Viet Cong, fighting back and winning against the more technologically superior Americans in the Vietnam War. Which means the Empire has represented both Nazis and Americans at different parts of Star Wars history. Take that how you will.
Yeah. Well, And I was about to say, oh, the Ewoks are supposed to represent the Viet Cong, huh? Their stature is really short, huh?
Look, again, this is the same guy who brought us any.
There's nothing like having a very subtle allegory, because when you figure it out, it's like rewarding.
Yeah.
But when they're a little less blatant, or when you dive into things and start picking them apart, and all of a sudden, like, the logic falls in on itself, boy howdy. Likely this usage of allegory is inspired by wanting to make a point.
Yes.
Look at ethnic group Y. See how crazy their lifestyle is? Now I'm going to sermonize that in my story. Just you wait.
What about ethnic group X?
Or ethnic group XX.
Or no, okay, go on.
Now, I would argue further that the unintended use stems from a lack of understanding. Like, primarily, you're trying to make some point about something you don't like, and I think we'll get back to that next week, too.
You like to hope it's due to naivety rather than malice,
if
you know?
you do so unintentionally, it's because you haven't done enough research to avoid that.
That's the thing, like, you'd like to hope that's, again, like naivety rather than malice.
Because you can't write with any nuance if you simply don't know what these people are all about.
Right? The ahans to be like some mishmash of Asian cultures because some 14-year-old kid thought it'd be cool. And
speaking of 14-year-old kids, say you've come to realize just how badly this was accomplished in a previous draft.
Stuart! Speaking of 14-year-old kids.
Speaking of 14-year-old kids. What
perpetually 14. I introduced him, I think, over a year ago. He's still 14.
Age. He will stay 14. Ash Ketchum, eat your heart out.
I'm 14 years old. You shouldn't be 15 years old.
What can you do to right the ship and better portray that culture?
Look at what you did wrong, such as mishmashing too many different things, being naive in what means what, and using a few stereotypes along the way, and look at how you can either get rid of the more obvious illusions or simply tone them down. You don't have to start completely from scratch unless the entire plot hinges on a negative stereotype, in which case, yeah, you done goofed.
Yes, very much so. You'll have to completely rewrite the race of the Ahans right now.
It's like, oh, this is the stereotype of the Poles. The Polish.
Was that this episode?
No, it was many episodes ago.
No,
well, 2 episodes
ago. 2
ago.
episodes ago. Okay.
This one was the 14-year-old edgelord, I think.
Oh my! Speaking of 14-year-olds. All right. Anyways,
cops. We didn't say anything about 14-year-olds. Don't listen.
Tim, take it away. Take it away. It wasn't ours.
We didn't even know those people. Wait, no, that makes it worse. Okay.
Stop digging the hole. Anyway,
I need a bigger shovel.
All you have to do is open your mouth and you're shoveling bigger and deeper every time.
All right, sorry. What about you?
All right. So, as far as like fixing this, if you you at 30 now wanted to go back and rewrite the Ahans.
Aha! That's how I'll do it.
Aha! You could, you've already talked about what you would do, but I would say primarily research.
Yes.
Particularly if it's a real life thing, it's not like the Ahans you have any basis because you were mishmashing things together. But
some might argue because it is a fantasy culture, you can mismash them, but
yeah, exactly. I think there's more license there because it's not something that is in public historical record.
Right, exactly. So,
but if it is public historical record and you done goofed,
well, then I really done goofed.
Then you, yeah. I think that word starts with an F and ends with up. But anyway.
Oh, okay. It was like fop.
Oh, you sweet summer child. Anyway, all right.
I really fucked that up.
But yes, research is the first tool in your arsenal.
Yes.
Alternatively, you could change something that creates a brand new fabric for the group in question. If your portrayal of them is the issue, then change the circumstances around them without changing the portrayal, and it should at least differentiate it enough.
Yes, that makes sense.
Hopefully it's some major overhaul rather than a simple aesthetic tweak, because doing so little doesn't really fix the issue if you're this deep into the writing process to begin with and you realize it's time to throw out the bathwater.
And speaking of time to throw out, that's it for this week. Time to throw out this episode.
Yeah, we gotta get moving past it.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to every single person that has supported us on Patreon. The patron support means the world to us.
Yes, patreon.com/Matthew Donald. It's links in the description.
Patreon. But anyway,
Patreon.
The link is there. We already talked about it earlier, too. If you'd like to get in touch with us, say, why did you talk about that? Or you didn't talk about this enough? Or stop digging this hole wider for yourselves.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. My hole is too deep.
What was the other thing that we had? It's just like, oh yeah, if we did this wrong, just tell me how to do it. Anyway, so
my hole's so deep, I'm basically in China at this point.
You done goofed. You can contact us at Matt D, that's with 2 T's, at MatthewDonaldCreator.com. Go to the webpage, use the contact link, use your own email system of that address. It's spelled in the description.
If you have a question for either one of us, please specify David or Donald. We share Matt D.
That would be helpful. I mean, context might make some difference. Super Sentai, you're probably not talking to him, but it still helps.
It's like, hey,
and let us know if we can share your content on the air.
Absolutely, and you could really confuse us with saying, hey, Matt D, as a music major, what is your favorite dinosaur? Actually, no, that could work.
It could work, because obviously I'm the music major, but I'd have to answer what my favorite
dinosaur is. As a music major, why do you think dinosaurs are so cool? And I'm like, which one? Which one? Actually, no, I
was about to say, there really isn't, that the context is there. They're taking me out of my anyway.
As an English major, why do you play violin so much? And I'm like, how do you know that he plays violin?
I think I have mentioned that.
Anyway,
with all the practicing I count for writing and such. But anyway.
All right, well, if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at Matthew Donald Creator on Facebook, at Matthew Donald 64 on Twitter, and Matthew Donald 64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because how many feet in the air I can jump. I'm part flea, David.
Oh, that's news. Don't bite me.
Hey, guess what? I'm going to get out of this hole. Boing. I'm out of the hole now.
This has been the Ritwit, where us two twits have twitted ourselves out about some part of handling allegory in your stories.
I'm Matt Donald.
I'm Matt David. Until next time, keep on writing the good writ.
And writing the good right.
Stay safe, wash your hands, get a vaccine if you haven't, wear a mask in public, and all those
things. All that stuff. This pandemic is still a thing. This Omicron variants.
And hopefully you'll come back next week for more on allegory. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
The Ritwit.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to have dinner with my super hot and very real girlfriend. And then we'll have dessert right afterward. If you know what I mean.